that is exactly what that unit is going up ahead to do. Yeah, still about the same speeds, freeway speeds really. And in terms of the units behind him, it looks like we now have 4 units of the California Highway Patrol trailing this vehicle. Yeah, he just crossed over the 710, as you said. So we're back in Monterey Park, which is an area where we were at earlier when the LA County Sheriff's was still chasing this person. But then we made our way to the east, and that is when the California Highway Patrol took over in the El Monte area. And the driver actually exited the freeway there. He went to the bus depot, circled around there for a little bit before jumping back on the westbound side of the 10. And as you said, we're just getting that much closer to downtown LA. Yeah, very difficult to tell because those windows are so darkly tinted. The one thing I can see is the license plate there in the front window, but other than that, I'm not seeing much. This is a slightly larger vehicle, so it could occupy even as many as 5 people, really, or more, but at this point, unclear how many people may be inside other than that driver. You see that one unit of the CHP, though, that is trailing behind a little bit. They're running a traffic brake behind the chase, so they want to slow some of these other drivers down as well to give this driver a little bit more room by himself. So you see that Tesla kind of slowing down because he sees all of the lights there from the CHP, but traffic is slowing down significantly, and it looks like this driver's not going to want to wait. He's going to possibly exit onto surface streets here. We'll see what he does, but we are on the 10 freeway still in the City Terrace area, approaching the 5 freeway here on the westbound side of the 10. Yes, he would have the option of going north or south here on the 5, or if he continues westbound on the 10 freeway through this stretch essentially comes to an end and connects with the 101. So that would give him a chance to get on the 101, which he has been on the 101 before. So he's actually been on a number of our freeways, the 101, the 710, the 10. It is, Carolyn. Yeah, so he's on the shoulder because you can see that the traffic here is pretty heavy, and he may be forced to exit here. So we'll see what he does, but he is approaching the Boyle Heights area here, so we're not far from County USC Medical Hospital. Oh, yep, there it is, and he sees it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to run right over it, and that's exactly what he did. So it looks like it was a good spike with damage likely coming to that front driver's side wheel as well as the rear wheel on the driver's side. Yep, front one definitely flat already, so we'll see how long he can run on that. But where we're at is Soto Street and Charlotte here in the El Sereno area. So again, we're not far from County USC Medical Hospital, and he's stuck in some traffic here. And every time he has been stuck in traffic, he tries to find a way out of it. So we'll see what he does here. It looks like he's going to be going north here into the Lincoln Heights area. Yeah, you really won't be able to go too long with conditions like this. So at this point, it's only a matter of time before he's going to come to a stop. But where we're at is Soto and Norfolk here in the El Sereno area. You've still got those units of the California Highway Patrol trailing him, but because we are on surface streets now in the LA area, the LAPD could actually take over this pursuit. So we'll see if the CHP relinquishes the chase to them and if LAPD wants to get involved. But at this point, we are in LAPD's jurisdiction through a construction zone here in the El Sereno area. Yeah, a lot slower because he realizes he's got a flat. So it looks like this street's actually a little bit of a downhill slope here. So he's going to head right towards the train tracks if he keeps going this way. But he made that turn there at the very last minute. Medford at Soto again in the El Sereno area with the CHP close behind. Yeah, let's talk about how this all began, because it actually started in the LA County Sheriff's jurisdiction of East Los Angeles. They saw this vehicle, they ran the plates, it came back as a stolen, and they tried to pull it over, but the driver decided he was not stopping, and that is when the pursuit began. And they followed it into about Monterey Park before they let the pursuit go because of his driving conditions at the time. But then the California Highway Patrol took over the chase in the El Monte area before we made our way back west, and we now find ourselves here in the El Sereno area, where he is very slow here because he ran over a spike strip as he was exiting the 10 freeway. A touch on the slow side for a pit, but I think he's going to go for it anyhow. So here comes the CHP unit, going to touch the bumper there and try to get the vehicle to spin, and it did not spin. And now this is an older car too, from what I could tell. A lot of the time pit maneuvers aren't as effective on older vehicles as they are on newer vehicles. They don't have that kill mechanism where it will just kill the engine. So at this point it looks like he was able to drive out of it, but you can see that he doesn't have full control of the vehicle. He obviously has that flat front tire. So LAPD is at this point not involved, but they have been notified. So they know about this chase going through their area. But it is a CHP behind him, Sheriff's airship overhead, and there's also a CHP plane overhead. We can't see him because he's, of course, a lot taller than we are. But above it all, you've got a plane, you've got a helicopter, and, of course, you've got the ground units trailing behind. Which is perfect for a pit maneuver. So I wouldn't be surprised if the CHP officers tried it one more time. The only thing is he's going a touch too slow for their liking, but they ideally want a nice open street like what you just saw there before they attempt a pit maneuver again. It's pretty level, but he is driving on those flats, which makes it seem as if it is downhill. But I can definitely see that that front tire is very flat now. So we'll see how much longer he's able to drive on that. Initially, I thought that that rear tire had also run over the spike, but at this point, it's still looking pretty good. It looks like it's just, at least from this vantage point, just that tire. Could possibly be the tire on the other side as well, though. So he is essentially in what I would call an industrial area. Let me widen out just to kind of give you the big picture. So it's industrial, which is good because we're not going to be seeing residential areas anytime soon. And he's going relatively slow, so it does give people a chance to move out of his way. He really hasn't been on surface streets for that long to be running red lights and things of that nature. So all in all, it hasn't been incredibly dangerous as some other pursuits that we've seen. And of course, you see the speed's relatively slow, so that's also good. And that is thanks, of course, to the fact that he ran over a spike strip and is now running on a flat. They could just wait him out, and at this point the car, oh, look at that woman there. She just had to get out of her car and wave. I never understand why people need to do that, but if you ever do see a pursuit going your way, the best thing to do is just simply move out of the way, because you don't know why the officers are chasing the person in this vehicle. In this case, we know it's a stolen car, but you don't know if it's a situation where the person could possibly be armed, so why get involved? It just doesn't make sense. But to answer your question, at this point, what they can do is just simply wait him out. The car's already starting to show wear and tear, so he's not going to be able to go on too long. But we are possibly getting back on the freeway. Look at this. Getting back on the 10 freeway. Yep, there goes part of the tire. And let's see which tire that was. I think it was actually the tire on the passenger side. So that must have been the front passenger side tire, because we've still got a tire here on the driver's side. Yeah, and we're headed now on the eastbound side of the 710 here. We're entering Monterey Park again, and it looks like the car might be smoking a little bit. I'm starting to see just a touch of smoke here as he's just on the other side there of that big rig. Yes. Yeah, center median there. This is right where the 710 and the 10 come together, near Cal State LA. So he's kind of, I think, just trying to figure out what to do from here. He's obviously in a vehicle that's not going to be able to do this for much longer. Yeah, over the median, and let's see where this leads him, because again, this is right where the 10 and the 710 come together, so he does have some options, but he may just be exiting off here at either City Terrace or Eastern. I'll know as soon as he picks an exit. Yeah, and ironically, the sheriff's headquarters is here in Monterey Park, and they were originally the agency that was chasing him as well. But at this point, no word of them getting involved again, even though it is generally their jurisdiction. Of course, there is Monterey Park Police, but he's quickly going to be in East Los Angeles as soon as he gets onto surface streets. So again, 710 at the 10. Yeah, this is going to loop him back onto the freeway. This is going to put him on the 710 freeway. And I'll know as soon as he completes the transition if it's going to be either north or south. But again, right in the area of the 710 and the 10 here in Monterey Park. Yeah, trying to slow the traffic behind him with a traffic brake. This is going to put him north 710, which is going to come to an end. And at that point, he's going to be on Valley Boulevard. So he'll be back on surface streets here in no time. But since we're on this side of the vehicle, this is actually our chance to take a quick peek at that front tire. That's the one that we saw go flying on the freeway. And pardon the trees there, but if you just look at the front passenger side tire, you can see that he's down on the rim. So that's likely why we were starting to see the vehicle smoking. Yeah, that'll probably fly off before he even gets to Valley Boulevard, but we're almost there. And again, unknown number of people inside of this vehicle. The vehicle is an older model, gold Durango, believed to be a stolen vehicle, a pursuit that originally started in the East LA area. In the 5 o'clock hour, we've been following it now for about the last 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, and traffic definitely building. So if you know anyone that usually travels here in the area of the 710 and the 10 in the Monterey Park area near Cal State LA, you're definitely going to want to give them a call and just give them the heads up of this pursuit. Even though it isn't dangerous, or at least not to the level of other pursuits that we've seen, it's still going to affect your commute here through the area, because this guy's traveling at about 20 miles an hour or so on 2 flat tires. Well, one tire is completely gone, on a rim and a flat, and still trying to avoid the California Highway Patrol. Yeah, they could still try a pit. The only thing is it's a touch on the slow side, and it could be a situation where they try the pit, but because he's going too slow, he's able to drive out of it. So that's essentially why it didn't work the first time. So we'll see if they attempt it again. Yeah, here's Valley now. Looks like he's setting up to go eastbound on Valley Boulevard. And usually on turns is a great time to try pit maneuvers as well, but they were a little bit too far behind to try it this time. But Valley Boulevard at Westmont Drive here in Alhambra. Yeah, it does run. Go ahead. Yeah, let me throw on a few of my doublers here and see if we can see anything, but it looks like he went for the limo tent. At least the original owner of this vehicle went for the limo tent on the car, so it's really difficult to see inside. But I do see that reflection that you're seeing. I believe it is just the sun. But when we were seeing the front of the vehicle, we could kind of just make out some shapes, but really difficult to tell how many people may be inside. Yeah, this is generally a busy area of Alhambra. There's all sorts of shops on either side of the street. So I wouldn't be surprised if he stays on Alhambra, that the driving conditions that we're seeing now are essentially what's going to continue. And as you said, Chuck, Valley Boulevard is a very long street. It runs parallel to the 10 freeway, just on the north side of it, but it will take you essentially all the way to the 605. Correct. Yeah, it's a turn on Fremont, and Fremont will take him right to the 10 freeway, which he's been on before. But now, considering how badly beat up the vehicle is, I'd be surprised if he tried to get on the freeway. I think he is definitely better off on surface streets. And the good thing is he is driving relatively slow, so most of the time, most pursuits we hope are on the freeway, because it at least takes the element of pedestrians out of the equation. But in this case, he's going slow enough to where people will see him coming, will be able to get out of his way. And again, this is the California Highway Patrol that is still in pursuit, even though it's technically not their jurisdiction anymore since it's off the freeway. But at this point, they're sticking with it. We still see at least 3 units behind him as this pursuit continues here southbound on Fremont, coming up to Ross Avenue in Alhambra. Yeah, and I actually zoomed out really quick. I wanted to show you guys that my pilot, James Pollard, noticed this. This is a local school here in the area that has a large number of people out there on the lawn. Looks like they're having a movie night. So that's the types of things that we normally don't like to see when a chase is passing by, because you never know who's going to be crossing the street. So it always does make for a dangerous situation, but fortunately, he was able to drive right past without incident and is now on a slight incline here, or decline rather, downhill, just under the 10 freeway. Yeah, this pursuit has been going on for long enough and in the same general area that people are starting to hear about it and are coming out of their homes or driving to get a little bit closer, which of course is never advised. You never want to try to be the hero and get involved in any way. Officers who are chasing this guy are highly trained. They go to the academy for half a year at least and then have years of training on top of that. So if anyone's going to bring this to a stop, it's going to be the men and women of the California Highway Patrol that continue to chase this driver here through the streets of Alhambra on Fremont Avenue. Yeah, so yeah, correct. So even though we're in Alhambra and they have their own police department, so they could get involved, he's barely in a area long enough for that agency to get involved. So at this point, the California Highway Patrol is sticking with it. If he stayed in a city long enough, so let's say he ventures into LAPD's area, then at that point, the LAPD could try to take it over. Since they're going to be best equipped to follow a vehicle in their city, they know where all the dead ends are, the cul-de-sacs, the parking structures, and they're going to know the best way to go about bringing this to an end. But at this point, he's really not in one place long enough, so the CHP is going to continue to chase him here as he continues to make his way southbound on Fremont Avenue in Alhambra, and we are now in what looks to be a residential area. We have not heard any specific number as to how many people may be in the car. The only thing we have heard so far is that they believe that the driver is a man. But I'd be surprised if officers were able to tell how many people are in the car because they're seeing what we're seeing. Those windows are darkly tinted, so it's really difficult to tell. And as I zoom in here, he was just flashing his rear lights for some reason. But he seems to be slowing down that much more, moving over to the right here. And going to be continuing on Fremont Avenue as it meets Monterey Pass Road, and about 15 miles an hour. Yep. Back in Monterey Park, and he's been in this city now several times during this pursuit, which leads him to believe that he probably is somewhat familiar with it and is choosing to drive these streets because of his familiarity with the city. Yeah. Yeah, at this point, going slow is really to his advantage because it is keeping at least that vehicle, the front up driver's side one, at least on the rim, whereas on the other side, he's down in the rim because he was driving a little bit too fast when he was on the freeway and it came just flying off. So at this point, still slow speeds. I'll widen out the shot. I'll show you the big picture here so you can see how many units of the California Highway Patrol are behind this guy. And earlier we had seen up to 4. Now we're back down to 3. That rear unit, he's basically just holding back traffic. And then you've got these 2 lead units that are following this guy's every move. Yeah, and still slow going here, moving to make this right-hand turn, which is going to put him back towards the north, I believe. So he's Vagabond Road at Monterey Pass Road. And I'm getting a little bit of information about the vehicle itself, possible 1999 Dodge Durango. So it is an older model vehicle, which is something that I brought up earlier when they tried the pit. Sometimes pits don't really work on older model cars because they don't have that kill mechanism that will kill the engine. And we saw that he was able to drive right out of it. Yeah, we're in a residential area now, and I'd be surprised if it was his intention to get up in this area, because it's essentially up on a little hill. So he's going to have to work his way back down this residential community before he can get back on one of the major streets here through the Monterey Park area. But where we're at is Abajo Drive and Vagabond, again in Monterey Park, clearly a residential area. And at this point, still slow speeds here, about 15 to 20 miles an hour, with the California Highway Patrol close behind. Thank you. Yeah, really, all things considered, in spite of how long this chase has been going on for, it really hasn't been too dangerous, which is good. We haven't really seen any close calls. He hasn't been driving on the wrong side of the road. He was on the freeway for a good stretch, but even then he was at freeway speeds. And had he not run over that spike strip, who knows where we'd be. But because he did, as he was exiting the 10 freeway, that's really the only reason why there's any damage to his vehicle. Yeah, absolutely. If he drives into one of those cul-de-sacs, I think he's done, because there's no way he's going to be able to get past these 3 CHP officers and in his continued attempt to evade the police. Continuing eastbound on Arriba from Pueblo here in the Monterey Park area. You see a couple of people out there gesturing to him. Unclear what he's saying. Of course, we can't hear it from our vantage point. But still in Monterey Park here, a residential area. Homes on either side of the street. A lot of people just coming home from work, trying to get home, and there's this pursuit going through their neighborhood. I'm sure they weren't expecting that this Friday evening. So I'm hearing that they are asking for the police canine to come to the pursuit. Just for when this does come to an end, they'll have a canine here. And of course, thank you to everyone who is joining us from the NBC4 News at 6 o'clock. We thank you for your viewership. We continue to follow this pursuit, making its way through surface streets in Monterey Park. I just threw some information up on the screen. If you'd like to watch us on your smart television, there's the info that you need. Just search for NBCLA on the Roku, Apple TV apps. We're also on Fire TV, and of course, always on NBCLA.com. Eliana Marino up here in News Chopper 4 alongside my pilot James Pollard. Thank you to everyone who has been following along with us. This pursuit started in the East LA area of the Sheriff's Department. Stolen car was what they believed it was. They tried to pull him over, but he failed to yield and the pursuit was on. The vehicle is described as a 1999 gold Dodge Durango. Thank you to our follower, Mike Fisher. And Fisher 1274 for giving me the information on the car. We appreciate that. This is a chase that has been going on now for about an hour or so. It was on the freeway at one point, and when he did exit the freeway, however, the CHP had set up a spike strip and he ran right over it, causing major damage to the 2 front tires. So at this point, he's only got the 2 good rear tires. He's also got something funky going on with his rear lights that continue to flash. Unclear why. But the car's also really darkly tinted, so it's really difficult to see inside and know possibly how many people may be inside. But it is a larger car, so there's a possibility. Right, going into a cul-de-sac, Jim says. So Jim's got the pursuit at his side, so he can see up ahead, and he sees that this is going into a cul-de-sac. So let's see if this brings things to an end. It's got to bring things to an end, considering the condition of this vehicle. He's either parking or he's going to try to reverse. He better not try to reverse into that officer. Don't do it. Oh, don't. Okay. Don't go at the officers. If he goes at them, that's assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer. But you can see that they try to ram him. Officers are out of their vehicles. The driver is still inside. He's essentially pinned in. Guns are drawn. I'm ready to widen out as soon as I see anything that makes me nervous. You never know at the end of these pursuits what can happen. So let me take off the map. You don't need that anymore. But where we're at is Monterey Park. It's a cul-de-sac. We pretty much figured that if he drove into a cul-de-sac, that would be it. And it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. Again, officers with their guns drawn, Sombrero Drive at Avion Drive here in Monterey Park. Still no movement. Jim, if I could ask you to get us a little closer to the driver's side. Thank you. That way I can watch him. Okay, here we go. The CHP officer is going to try to break the window because, again, those windows are darkly tinted. It's really difficult for them to see inside. But Jim's bringing us around so that we can try to look at the driver's side. Okay, we're starting to see pepper ball rounds. There we go. He's burning rubber just on the other side of that tree. You're going to see a lot of the smoke because he's trying to get out of this situation that he's gotten himself into. Accelerating. That's why we're seeing all of this smoke, burning the rubber on this tire, on these tires. Wow. Looks like a scene out of a movie. Incredible. Those CHP cruisers covered up by the smoke. The driver still in the car, refusing to come out. Monterey Park police are on their way to assist because this is their jurisdiction. We're in Monterey Park. Wow, what an incredible turn of events. A pursuit that, for the most part, was relatively calm comes to this crazy end here in a cul-de-sac after officers attempt to box this guy in. And he's still not giving up. You see him still revving the engine, trying to get out of it, but that car's not going anywhere. He's moving around, hitting the accelerator. That's why we're seeing all of this smoke. Wow, absolutely wild. If you're wondering where the officers are, they just retreated to that rear CHP vehicle. So they're back there, they're okay. Their guns are drawn. I'm hearing just one at gunpoint. So at this point, it seems like it's just the driver. But you never know in a situation like this when the windows are so darkly tinted. It's a larger car. It's really difficult to see. If you live in this area, stay inside, folks. I know you can't help but come and take a look, but this is a situation where you don't know what's going to happen. Again, we're Sombrero Drive at Avion Drive here in Monterey Park. I'm seeing sparks because he's not giving up. He just keeps on hitting that accelerator. Yeah, the officers think they see fire, which means that the fire department's going to have to come out here. So the fire department is going to be requested. They're going to come out just in case the car does catch fire. Yep, so hearing fire is rolling, so that means that the fire department is on their way, and they're being asked to stage nearby. Again, we're in a residential area of Monterey Park. CHP officers still with their guns drawn. What do we do in a situation like this? Well, that could require the SWAT team. If this becomes a standoff and he refuses to come out of the car, that's when you're going to get a call into Metro, into SWAT. They're going to come out here with the Bearcats. They're going to box this guy in more than he already is with some of their units. But at this point, those officers are going to try to be the peacemakers. They're going to try to continue to make call-outs and get him to come out voluntarily. If that doesn't happen, then that's when you may see the SWAT team come out. In this case, we're in Monterey Park. It could be the sheriff's SCB team that comes out instead. Go ahead for the chopper. Oh, yeah, let me check. Jim, can you check our fuel situation? We have an hour and 20, guys. Okay, perfect. Okay, copy that, Jack. And thank you to everyone who continues to watch us online. We're just getting everything in place because we do have the NBC4 news at 7 p.m. coming up in the next 20 minutes or so. Of course, we're going to be talking about this pursuit and, of course, all of today's news. But for now, we're just going to continue to stream here online and all of our streaming platforms. I'm going to throw all that info up for you on the screen here when I can. Real quick, just if you'd like to watch us on your smart television, I know a lot of you have been watching us on your phones for the duration of this pursuit. So if you'd like to watch us on your smart television instead, search for us there, NBCLA, Roku TV, Apple TV, Fire TV, of course, always on NBCLA.com as well. I'm continuing to monitor the situation on the police scanner as well. It is the California Highway Patrol. If you've got a scanner at home and you want to listen in, I've got it on blue 3B as in boy. So that's where we're monitoring this on the scanner and, of course, watching everything unfold under us here in Monterey Park. I'm hearing officers ask for less than lethal weapons, so that's beanbags, pepper ball rounds, tasers. Let me show you what this is doing to this neighborhood. People simply trying to get home after a long week of work, and now you have a police pursuit at the end of your normally quiet cul-de-sac where the driver continues to rev the engine trying to get out of this situation, but it's going to be nearly impossible. He's tried to drive away multiple times now, but that car's not budging. It was essentially rammed by that CHP cruiser, and he's already lost the 2 front tires. I'm good, Jim. Thank you. And once again, I have to give a big shout out to my pilot, James Pollard. You can find him on Twitter at Pollard Aviation. He did a great job flying us in this pursuit. We had to deal with some TFR issues, temporary flight restrictions due to Dodgers, and in spite of that, we were able to stay on top of this chase the entire time. Over an hour, really, is the duration. And it's still not over. The driver is still in that vehicle. We can't see him. You see the tent, dark limo tent. We can't see inside. Officers think it's just one person, but until they clear the vehicle, you really don't know. So at this point, unknown number of occupants, but what we believe to be a man behind the wheel. terms of freeways too, we're south of the 10 and east of the 710, and you see that car is still smoking. I'll ask Jim if he can move just a touch to the right, just so we can clear that tree a little bit. I can tell you the fire department is staging nearby. If this car catches fire, they're ready to swoop in here and knock that fire out. But officers have to take the man into custody first because they can't put firefighters at risk, not knowing if this person could possibly be armed. Really, all they know about him is that he's driving a stolen car. And so for that reason, everything's really on the table. They have to take every precaution possible. Let me just recap how this all started. We first heard about this pursuit when we were at Whiteman Airport, where we monitor scanners. That's our home airport. And we heard that the East LA Sheriff's was following a vehicle. And following is always what precedes a pursuit. They were following the car because they believed it to be a stolen. And they tried to pull it over, but the driver failed to yield, and the pursuit was on. The Sheriff's Department chased it till they got to about Monterey Park. That is where they essentially relinquished the pursuit, but then soon thereafter, the California Highway Patrol took over in the El Monte area, and they've been on this chase ever since, through Alhambra, through Monterey Park, through portions of El Sereno, and finally ending here in a cul-de-sac in Monterey Park. The fact that he drove into a cul-de-sac leads me to believe this isn't his neighborhood. He seemed pretty familiar with Monterey Park, but it just doesn't seem like he knew that this was going to end in a cul-de-sac, which is why he went this way. Officers essentially rammed him in, pinning him in to where he couldn't get out of it, and now it looks like he just can't move the car. It looks to be undrivable. He's lost the two front tires as a result of running over a spike strip, and despite his best efforts to get the car going, all we're seeing is a bunch of smoke, and that car is really not budging. Let me widen out the shot. I just want to show you this neighborhood. All of the police vehicles here, they're of course blocking the street there to prevent neighbors and other folks from coming right up to this termination. You see the officer there with his shield. Okay, here we go. You see these two officers. This lead officer, very bold, walking right up to the car, approaching with a shield. He's going to try to break the window there with his baton, going right up to the driver's side window. Here comes another officer coming from the right with his weapon drawn. This is really interesting that they seem very relaxed now, the way that they're approaching the car. Driver door is open. I'm going to widen out because I actually don't know his condition. I don't know if he's hurt, if he's bleeding. So I'm just going to widen out the shot just a little bit till we feel a little bit more comfortable. They're pulling this person out of the car. Wow. There we go, down on the ground. I'm going to push in a little bit more, get in my doubler here. Wow, what a crazy ending. They just went right up to the car and pulled him out. Now, I don't know what his level of consciousness may be. They're helping him to his feet, so he's got to be okay. Yeah, so he's upright, which he's handcuffed is what we're hearing, of course. We witnessed it here. We're getting the code 4 from the officer. That means that the situation is resolved. At this point, it seems like he's fine. It just seems like he just doesn't want to go with them, which, boy, did we witness that he did not want to be apprehended. The officer here is going to search the driver, make sure that there's nothing on him that could possibly harm any of the officers. And once they feel pretty comfortable about that, they're going to put him in the back of the squad car and take him back to the station. In the meantime, officers have already cleared the Dodge Durango to make sure that nobody else is inside. You can see that the trunk is open there just to make sure no one was hiding back there. The fire department is here, though, that they could just check on the guy, make sure he's okay. Of course, he did get hit by that CHP cruiser, so out of an abundance of caution, they will check him to make sure he's okay before they take him back to the station. And you can see that the driver is not resisting, but he's also not really going voluntarily, kind of dragging his feet. He knows his fate. I'm hearing that no shots were fired, so this was not a police shooting, is what we're hearing on the scanner. I'm going to see if maybe I can pick up a plate there for our assignment desk. 8 Tango Alpha Tango 303. 8 Tango Alpha Tango 303. And once again, thank you to everyone who joined us on our coverage of this pursuit. We do have the NBC4 News at 7 o'clock coming up here in the next 10 minutes. We hope you can tune in for that. But just to recap, a stolen car pursuit ends here in Monterey Park on a cul-de-sac on Sombrero Drive with a cross of Avion Drive with one person in custody. Hey, Jim, can we move a little to the left? Thank you. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, they're going to check him out. So what you're seeing here is the fire department arriving on scene to check on the driver to make sure he's okay. This is Monterey Park Fire. Officers have him sitting in that squad car there. And when they feel comfortable, they'll have the fire department approach. They'll check him out, make sure he's okay. Okay, there's the rescue ambulance pulling up now. You see firefighters there and paramedics approaching the CHP cruiser. That's where the driver from this pursuit is sitting. They're going to check him out because, of course, he was involved in that collision at the end of this pursuit when he got rammed by the CHP cruiser in their attempt to pin him in. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Here comes the gurney. So he... Okay, copy that, Jack. And once again, to everyone watching us online, we thank you for your viewership. We do have the NBC4 News at 7 o'clock coming up here in the next 5 minutes. We hope you can tune in for that. And of course, we always thank you for watching us on our streaming platforms. Once again, I'm Eliana Marino. You can find me, Eliana Marino, on Twitter. My pilot, James Pollard, Pollard Aviation. And of course, you can always follow us on NBCLA.com, Roku TV, Apple TV, Fire TV, and all of our social media. Hey, Audrey, I got you. Go ahead. Okay, perfect. So yeah, just 30 seconds on what we're seeing now. Okay, great. NOC, IFB. I lost IFB, guys. Oh, got it back, thanks. Copy. Colleen, and this is normally a very quiet residential neighborhood here in Monterey Park, and we had said during the pursuit that if he drove into a cul-de-sac that was going to be it, and that's exactly